Hey, everybody. This is Roman Polner coming to you live from Pillar 6 College Planning. And this is our weekly Financial Aid Wednesdays, which is a live cast that I do every single week to help families find more money to pay for college and get as much financial aid as they qualify for. And, there are lots of different corners of the financial, aid universe. And so the idea here is for us to be able to find all of the money that you and your family are eligible for based upon whatever unique circumstances you have. Because at the end of the day, every family can find financial aid to help them pay for college because we all know how expensive colleges have gotten in the last, 15 or 20 years. And so most people around the country are having a hard time paying for college without going into debt and without stressing themselves out or without stressing their kids out. And that's why we're here. That's why we do these things, is to help you find more money to make college ultimately more affordable. And so today is December 15th. And today I want to talk about a very, very important topic that a lot of people don't know about. And when they do, it kind of freaks them out. Let's talk about financial aid audits. Now, that word audit generally makes people feel a little, unpleasant. Feels like somebody is looking at you or looking at your, finances. And, it feels kind of violating and scary. But don't be scared because it's only scary if somebody else is doing it. But I'm going to teach you how to audit your own financial aid applications, take control of it. And this way, uh, you have nothing to be afraid of. Because at the end of the day, financial aid audit is just a review of your financial aid applications to make sure that you did everything correctly, that you didn't make any mistakes, and you didn't miss any opportunities to get financial aid or to get more money. Because as you probably well know, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you that mistakes on financial aid forms directly result in lost money or in lost financial aid that you could have gotten, would have gotten, and should have gotten if you just made everything or did everything correctly, didn't make any mistakes. And so that's why catching those mistakes early is so incredibly important. And if you do it yourself and if you do it correctly, you've got nothing to fear. Quite the opposite. You should be pretty excited and happy. And it's not that hard to do um, because it's really, really important that, colleges get the right information on your financial aid forms because when you apply, right, or your kids apply to colleges and you guys apply for financial aid, that information gets sent to every college where your student applied, and then they will put together your financial aid package based upon the information that you shared with them. And you want to make sure that everything that you're sharing with them is going to put you and your family in best light. All right. So here's a quick house kind of keeping reminder. And I forgot to say this at the beginning is that if you're watching this live, you've got the benefit of asking any question that you want right here, right now. Just use the comment section below. And if you've got a question, ask it. I'll keep my eye out and answer them as I go along. Or, if you have a comment or if I'm going too fast and you want me to talk more about some part of this, just let me know. Now, at the same time, if you're watching a replay, I won't be able to respond to you live, but I will continue to monitor all of these comments. So will my team. And so if you have questions or if you have comments, let us know. We'll get back to you. And we're going to use the thread in the comments below to do that. And if you've got a private question that you don't want to talk about, right here on Facebook or on YouTube, then direct message me privately and I'll get back to you. All right. So, why is it so important that colleges get the right information? And I'd say the other thing is really important is the timing, because the most amount of panicked calls I get from parents and sometimes their kids is in the spring. It's usually right around March and April when people start getting their financial aid award letters and they realize that, oh my God, we didn't get enough money. College is going to cost us more out of pocket than what we have or than what we expected. What do we do? And that's usually when they call. and they're panicked, they're freaked out, and they're worried. They're stressed because the college is going to happen any day now. They have to make a decision, and they don't know where the money's going to come from. So usually when we start having the conversation about why they didn't get as much money as they expected or they needed, the number one reason is usually that they made some mistake or some number of mistakes on their financial aid forms back a few months before, when they filed, that they never knew about, that they never discovered until they started getting their financial aid. So right now, time and knowledge are your absolute best friends, because depending on when you're watching this, it should be at least a few months before those financial aid letters start coming out. So you've got the time to make the changes and to fix any errors that you might have made. And the knowledge, well, you're getting it right here, right now. So pay attention. And these two things are going to help you find a lot more money. Actually, I shouldn't say find, actually get more money. So let's talk about the most common mistakes that I see day in and day out, and I should say year in and year out, that lead to lost aid, and how to fix them. All right, you ready? So, number one, the biggest mistake by far is that families don't submit the form. Now, there's two main financial aid forms. There's the Fafsa and there's the CSS profile. And everybody has to do the Fafsa, and that's usually the number one form that I see folks skipping on. And people, don't submit for a number of reasons. Some of them just don't think they're going to qualify because they heard from their friends, like, "Oh, I make too much money, or I have too much in savings, and I'm just not going to get any financial aid. So why apply?" Well, that's a really big mistake, because even if you don't qualify for financial aid, you might, or your student might qualify for merit financial aid or merit scholarships directly from colleges, but they don't know that you need money unless you submit the form. So, bottom line is everybody should be submitting the form. But most people who don't submit the form actually complete it. They go through all the steps, they complete all the information, but they don't submit. They don't hit the button, or they make a mistake and the FAFSA doesn't get processed. Ultimately, colleges don't get the information and they think they did everything right, but it happens that they get the financial aid award letter and it says zero or loans because they never got your FAFSA. So make sure that you submit your form and make sure that it actually gets processed. All right, number two, input errors is the second biggest reason for lost financial aid. Now, there's a variety of different types of input errors, but most commonly, it's something very, very simple. It's moving the wrong or putting the wrong digit on when putting in the student's social security number or their date of birth. And if the system can't match, your student or your financial information with the IRS, it won't get processed. And it's a simple error that can trigger a big um, problem for you down the road. And it's really important for you to find out whether or not any input errors were made. So double check your work, double check your students' work, because they're going to be filling some of this out on their own. And you want to make sure that everything was done correctly. Now, related to this, the third biggest mistake are blank fields. Don't leave anything blank on the FAFSA. If some field doesn't apply to you, put a zero, because if you just leave it blank, it increases the chances that the FAFSA or whatever financial aid application you're actually submitting doesn't get processed correctly. Number four, you don't list all of the colleges that your student is applying to. This happens a lot. So what usually happens is your student would have, some list of colleges early on in their senior year when they're applying. So they'll put those colleges on the financial aid form, they'll submit it, and then they'll start doing all the other things like writing essays and getting letters of recommendation, thinking about college. And then at some point along the way, somebody's going to say, "Hey, did you uh, think about this college?" Or maybe they will find some other college or colleges to apply to, and then they'll submit those application forms. Especially with the Common App, it becomes now so much easier, right, to apply to multiple schools, but they won't go back and add those schools to the FAFSA. So if and when they actually get accepted to those other schools, they never got the FAFSA. They didn't think you needed financial aid and they won't give any. So that's really important to make sure that you list all the colleges. Number five, overreporting is a really big mistake that families often make because, well, the FAFSA doesn't prompt you to do this in the right way. And it's easy to fall into this trap. And the trap usually happens in one of two ways. Number one, people just report more financial kind of assets than they have to because the FAFSA doesn't want you to tell them about everything. They only want you to report savings and assets that can be used to pay for college. And so you only want to report those. But there are five financial assets that the FAFSA does not want you to report. And I often will find families actually include those things, making the government and colleges think that you actually have a lot more money to pay for college than you really do. And then they'll give you less money because they don't think you need it. So don't share more than you have to. Follow the rules, but you don't want to lie about anything. You don't want to hold anything back, but you don't want to overshare either. Now, the second way that families overreport is that they report the higher value of the things that they do have to report without being able to lower or discount that the FAFSA actually allows you to do and encourages you to do, because you don't have to report the value of your savings or your assets or your investments or your real estate that you see on the statement or on the screen or on Zillow. You can discount the value and report a lower value, a truer value, which will also increase your financial aid awards. All right, number six, and this is closely related to the last area, is the FAFSA ends up calculating a higher EFC than it should. So, the number one question that I ask families when they call in the springtime to say, how do we get more money? The first question I ask them is, well, what was your EFC? Which is your expected family contribution. It's the amount of money that the government calculates you should pay for college based upon, the things that you shared on those financial aid forms. And I usually get this look that, like, I don't know what my EFC is. They didn't tell us. How are we supposed to know? Well, you can and you should find out your EFC within 3 to 5 days after submitting your financial aid form. And when you look at the form, and if you think that your EFC is higher than it should be, then there's an error someplace and you got to fix it. So don't wait until the spring semester that your kids are getting financial aid letters to find out that something wasn't done correctly. Do that right now. Review your financial aid forms to make sure that you didn't make any mistakes, that your EFC wasn't overly calculated or calculated to be too high. So this way, you won't have any unpleasant surprises, and you're actually sharing the right information with colleges, which means they're going to give you the right amount of financial aid, or at least I should say, they will at least have the right information to put the right packet together. I've talked a lot about how to negotiate with colleges for more financial aid because their first offer is usually not their best or final. But again, we'll save that for a different time. If you want to look for that conversation, I'm sure it's somewhere in the thread on Facebook or on our YouTube channel. So go check that out. But for now, the most important thing to focus on is to make sure that you submit your forms correctly and then you review to make sure that it was actually processed correctly. So if you already applied for financial aid, it's really important for you to review your financial aid filing. If you haven't yet applied, but you have a high school senior right now who is going to be going to college, apply right now. Don't delay. You want to get your application in the next week or two because financial aid is given out on the first come, first serve basis. Free money is limited, and that's the kind of money that you want. So get your forms in quickly. Now, we have a very, very simple and easy to follow review process if you want some help. And you can go check that out on checkmyaid.com. It's a very, very straightforward and very fast way to audit and review that you did everything correctly. And I personally will help you with it. And so here's how it works. If you want some help, go check that out. Checkmyaid.com. And what we're going to do is review your financial aid application for you to make sure that if you've made any mistakes, we'll find them. If you made any errors, we'll tell you about them. And more importantly than telling you where the mistakes or errors are, I'm actually going to tell you how to fix them and fix them quickly and make sure that colleges know that you have updated your FAFSA. And then the third thing that we do on this review process is look for any missed opportunities because there could have been financial aid that you didn't apply for because maybe you didn't know about it. Maybe you didn't think you were going to get it. So we look for every single opportunity for every family to get all of the financial aid that they might be eligible for in this entire vast universe of financial aid. And so if you want some help, go to checkmyaid.com. There's a quick checkout process. And after you complete that, you're going to get an email with two things. Number one is going to be a link for you to schedule your call with me personally, one on one. And number two, it's going to be there's going to be a questionnaire that you'll fill out and provide the link to your financial aid form. And I'm going to go through it personally with my team and then have a call with you one on one to go through everything, and I'll tell you if there are any errors or any mistakes. So let's see if I've gotten any questions. All right, thanks for putting that link on. I appreciate that. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't applied yet, and let's say you don't have a high school senior, your kids are younger, well, good for you. You now have the benefit of extra time and use that time wisely. Don't wait until your kids are already applying to colleges in the senior year to start this process because ideally, you could start as early as their sophomore year in high school because that's the year that colleges and the government are going to use to determine your financial aid. I shouldn't actually, that was a little confusing. Let me rephrase that. The income you earn in your kid's sophomore year of high school is the year or is the income that colleges and the government are going to look at to determine your financial aid. And so there are a lot of things that you might be able to do to make sure that it's going to be sort of structure your finances in a way that will present you in the best light or qualify you for the most financial aid when the time actually comes. So you've got a tremendous opportunity. Now, if your kids are juniors in high school right now, then you also have the benefit of time to continue to kind of organize and position yourself financially to qualify for the most amount of financial aid, even if you don't think you qualify, because everyone does. You just have to know what to apply for. And this gives you the time to decide which corner of the financial aid universe to apply to. And then the second thing that you have the time to do is actually pick colleges that'll give you the money that you have colleges that are a really good fit for your student, academically, experientially, where they will be happy, where they will get a great degree, but also that will be a good financial fit for your family, that are going to give you the money that you actually qualify for. And like I said earlier, and throughout this live cast, is if you've got high school seniors right now applying to colleges, then submit the form ASAP if you haven't already. And if you did, review and make sure you don't, make any mistakes or that you catch mistakes that if you made them, correct them quickly, lower the EFC and let colleges know that you've got an updated FAFSA so that they can put together the best financial aid packet for you in the fall or sorry, in the spring. My apologies. In the spring. And so as you start getting financial aid award letters, there's still time to negotiate and to do your financial aid appeals, but you will have more opportunities. You have more leverage to do that if you start earlier, before colleges actually put together your aid award letter. So, anyways, I'm going to stop talking now because I don't want to keep you any longer than I have to. But I hope this is helpful because it's really, really important that you do your own financial aid audit or that you work with a professional financial aid consultant like ourselves. If you want my help, or if you have someone else in your network or your sphere that you want to reach out to, reach out. Have someone help you review your financial aid applications to be sure that you did everything absolutely right, to make sure you didn't make any costly mistakes that can lead to lost financial aid, and make sure that you didn't lose or miss any opportunities to apply for any other financial aid that you could actually get. So, with that, I'm going to wish you all the best. I'm going to bid you farewell for now. I'll be back here next Wednesday. We'll take another topic apart to help you find more money to pay for college with ease and avoid you going into debt, or certainly avoid your kids having to go into debt, because who wants that? We want them to go to college. We want them to graduate. We want them to get started in life. We don't want them to have to dig themselves out of a deep hole of debt. So there's plenty of money to pay for college. I hope you find it. I'm here to help you find more. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if this is helpful, hit like. Let me know that this is actually helping you. Share it with your friends. And I'm always here to help. So if you've got specific requests or questions, direct message me. Use this platform to ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. And remember that if you've got a question, chances are so does somebody else. And getting your question answered won't only help you, it'll help other people as well. So, with that, I wish you all the best. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.